All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we're going through Proverbs chapter 6, verse 23. So here we go. It reminds me of Philippians 3:23, or Philippians 4, 5, 6. It's one of those. Philippians something 23. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me, right? Anyway, this is Proverbs, not Philippians 6, verse 23. Here we go. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching a light, and the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. What's the basic interpretation of this? The commandments light the path. And so, just for context, the subtitle of this section of Proverbs 6 is Warnings Against Adultery. And it was just talking about keeping your father's commandments and your mother's teaching. Bind them on your neck, bind them on your heart, tie them around your neck. They're going to lead you, they're going to watch over you, and they're going to talk with you when you awake. So, that's the context. And it's like the commandment is a lamp and the teaching a light. And when I think of a lamp and a light, it's like guiding you in the darkness, right? Like you carry a lamp when it's dark around and you need to be able to see. So that's what the commandment is. That's what the teaching is. And then when I think of the reproofs of discipline are the way of life, that is just so, discipline, guys, is so key. And it's easy to get frustrated when you're thinking about getting disciplined, or I think to be reproved is to be corrected. Um, just give me a second. I'm looking that up real quick. Yeah. Anyway, the reproofs, the correction of discipline are the way of life. And when you think about that and you're like, okay, I want to be disciplined in my life. I want to make it the way of life, by the way, not a way of life. And so when you think about it being the way of life, it's like it is the way to life. Like discipline will help you avoid death, will help you avoid misery. And I think it's Jocko Willink that says this in Extreme Ownership, but discipline equals freedom. And it's kind of counterintuitive because when you think about discipline, you think of a really rigid schedule, right? You think of something that is really kind of holding you back from being free. But discipline creates the mental strength, the physical strength, and the emotional strength, and the spiritual strength that is going to give you that freedom ultimately. Like freedom isn't necessarily having all choices, but it's the ability to actually decide, which I know is interesting, but a lot of us can't decide despite influences around us. We are so influenced that those influences are basically making decisions for us. But the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. And that just means that you need to dive into discipline and apply it to your life as much as possible. So, where has discipline shown up in my life? We talked about the reproofs of discipline being the way of life. And when it comes to applying discipline to your life is like exercising. When you miss an exercise, you can get penalized or you reinforce yourself for exercising well. Just that corrective action of discipline, keeping you on track, is the way of life. This has shown up in my life. I'm doing 75 hard with a friend soon, and kind of want it to be a community thing. I don't know how many people are going to be able to get in on it, but that's just discipline in a physical nature, an intellectual nature, and a diet nature, which is actually where I want it to show up in my life. And it'll help me build the mental strength I need to be the person I want to be, right? And also podcasting, posting every day. Like that is a discipline for me, and it has created freedom in being able to express myself, being able to talk about what I want to talk about, all of this stuff. And I just think it's really cool to apply discipline to my life in that way. Those are two ways it's shown up. I would say working out too, and just discipline of my mind. But in the same way, I want it to show up in my life in working out and the discipline of my mind more so. And so that takes me right into where I want it to show up in my life. I said money moves, and that's really my mindset. I often will allow myself to make small money moves or to take action based on small thoughts. And I want discipline there to be like, yo, you were told you're going to do greater things than Jesus did. Why are you thinking like this? Why are you thinking so small? Why are you stopping yourself, limiting yourself? So I want discipline there. I want discipline in my diet, treating my body like a temple. And it's just nice to be able to have a good diet, right? And then discipline in reading, taking in knowledge, reading the Bible and reading other nonfiction books, even fiction books and nonfiction books that are all good for me, right? And so just some of the classics. That's where I want some discipline to show up in my life. And it's also like my parents told me that reading was good. I was always told reading was good growing up. Making money moves was good, or like looking to the person next to you. If they can do it, you can do it too type of vibes. That was always good. And eating well was always good. These are some basic things, the commandment that is a lamp and the teaching that is a light and the reproofs of discipline that are the way of life. And the consequences you get from stepping out of that discipline, like reproofs was like corrective action. And so you would fail at your discipline and then you would get a reproof and it would correct you and get you back on the pathway to discipline. Well, think about the reproof that you get from money moves or taking small money moves. You make small money, and when you make small money, you have small problems that seem big, that take your energy from bigger things. When you don't read, you don't take in knowledge. When you don't take in knowledge, you can't think of new stuff or connect new things. Makes you you know, just not be able to do as much. And when you have a poor diet, your body feels it. Trust me, your body feels it. So, as you guys know, those things can hinder you from being the person you want to be. And so this discipline around your diet, around reading, around money moves will actually create a more free life for you. So how can you guys apply this to your life? I would say you ask yourself the question, what are the most important, effective actions that I need to be extremely disciplined with? Whether that be working out, whether that be dieting, whether that be reading, whether that be taking massive action. If it is taking massive action, in what way? It could be cold calling, it could be marketing, it could be networking, it could be prospecting, it could be hiring, it could be firing, it could be, you know, critical thinking, big picture thinking, vivid vision type thinking. It could be any of these. If it's massive action, start taking it and be disciplined about it. It could be some sort of spiritual practice like meditation or reading the Bible or prayer or, whatever it may be. What do you need to be extremely disciplined with? And I point out effective because your action should have intent behind it. You should be taking initiative, as we learned earlier in Proverbs. And so measure the efficacy, is that the right word, of your actions up against the result you're trying to create. And then be extremely disciplined about the actions that are going to tick the needle towards that goal. So there we go. Thank you guys for listening to the show. That's all we got for you today. We will see you on the next one. And on that note, we're out.